Welcome to the Boston Bros Political Podcast. I am Jim Campanini, co-host of the show, with my good friend, Boston Herald political columnist, Peter Lucas. Peter, how are you today?
Good to be here. Good to be here, Jim.
Yeah, you had a once again, you had a really good week. You had some real good caucus there for some columns. I hope people are reading your columns 3 times a week. Exceptional reporting and writing. Peter, did you take any vacations yet this year?
Not yet. I'm waiting to go to France. Maybe I'll bump into some important people over there, like the governor and her friend, the roommate, and have a good time in Paris.
Well, that was very interesting. You know, I didn't even know that the governor was out of the state.
Nobody knew.
I know, and then all these crises developed. The signing of the budget, which was done once again with all these secret amendments over earmarks, and then you had the all kinds of ICE operations taking place, which I support 100%. Take these criminals off the street, but protests and more ways to try to get them to wear take off their masks and stuff. But I mean, the Governor Healey thing, I mean, I was kind of surprised that she would leave in the dark of night, and she makes a big case about security. But you know what? I think that's all overblown. I mean,
well, these days, everybody working remote, nobody knows where anybody is. Mm-hmm. And she could probably do the job from Paris, France. But it would be a little bit more difficult, I would say. And as far as masks go, I have to say this. You know, the politicians want to ban ICE from wearing masks.
Yes.
Which I would be all for it if the politicians proposing this would wear bags over their heads so we wouldn't have to identify them. But at any rate, well, back to Paris.
Go back to Paris. A beautiful city. I went there with my wife. She used to fly there regularly when she was a flight attendant. Beautiful city, and I wish I could go to Paris. And you know what? Now is actually a time to go, because in July, everybody who has a job in Paris usually takes the month off of July.
She apparently went to the south of France.
Provence.
Rosé,
beautiful.
Which is a great vacation area for well-to-do celebrities.
Yeah, but with all the things going on in Massachusetts, the immigrant crisis, a new report comes out, and the Boston Herald, mind you, over $900 million, and they're still counting. Last year, that's what was spent we're just starting a new budget season. It's $900 million. Contracts, no bid contracts given out to food vendors, no rhyme or reason, no paperwork, no protocol. Just give it to them. I mean, we're supposed to be an organized state that demands accountability. There's no accountability, and here's Healey out there enjoying stuff. Now, has there been any word? Did she have a state police patrol with her?
Well, we don't know, because she doesn't reveal when she's leaving or when she's coming back or even where she's going.
Well, that's the point. I mean, she says she doesn't say anything or tell anybody or staff because of security reasons. So you would think that she'd have security with her. Maybe she hired Michael Proctor to be the head of her detail or something.
Listen, to be fair, she hasn't been really criticized for being out of state. I contend that if the governor were a male, a bachelor, and he flew to Paris, southern France, to meet his girlfriend without telling anybody, I think they'd be held to pay. But, we live in a two-tier system.
No, it's a double standard system. Where the Democrats control everything. And here she is. I mean, she signs her bloated. It's still bloated. She says she cut $1 billion out of the budget, $61 billion. But yet, when you look at it, the reporting comes out that she really put $800 million aside, and says that she cut the budget. Yet they're going to reconsider restoring that $800 million in October, and a lot of them were earmarks that the state reps and state senators do every year. You know, they put in their earmarks and they get approved. They go back to the public and said, see what I got, when basically it's not even approved yet, especially if it's a capital project. But a lot of things are small things, 10,000 here, 25,000 there, 50,000 here for a new roof on some gazebo or whatever. But then we find out secretly that the Democrat leadership kept their earmarks in the budget. Everybody else got cut, including all the Republicans who voted against the budget. Their earmarks were cut.
So what else is new? You know, I mean, that happens every year.
And this is exactly why you've got a state auditor who is asking for more transparency. Who the voters, approved the ballot question
By 72%.
by 72% of the voters for more transparency in government, do an audit on government. And yet these top leaders in the legislature, they just do it shamelessly.
Well, you know, it sounds like you're pining for the good old days. When Governor Weld was, Governor Bill Weld was governor, and he'd go on vacation, you knew it. He would go up to northern New York and go duck hunting. He'd even tell you how many ducks he shot. So, but you knew where he was. And this France vacation of the governor, don't begrudge her the vacation, but a little more openness to the public would be acceptable.
Oh, I'm not begrudging a vacation, and Paris is a beautiful city. The question is, the timing of it, and what's wrong with telling people they're going? Did she think the French were going to protest her and stuff? No. I mean, she's in line, I think, with a lot of.
It's a problem. The problem is things happen when she was away.
That's right.
Like that tragic fire at the assisted living home in Fall River, and then 450 people getting stuck in a tunnel at the Blue Line breakdown the other day. That's why you need a governor to be on the job all the time.
I used to take that Blue Line. I used to get Maverick Station, take it into Fenway Park, into Boston with my wife when we lived in Winthrop, and I tell you, bad enough that you used to get caught on July nights. The air conditioning wouldn't work on those trains. And it was like you're gagging for air on full buses, people coming back from the Red Sox game. I think I would have had a heart attack if I was stuck in the tunnel for 2 hours. And some of those people, it took them 6 hours to get home. And they're supposed to have emergency plans. They had to be, they had to sit on the bus for over an hour, then led through the tunnel, and then taking the government center to get on buses to get back to where they were going. I mean, oh, man, what a Jim, miserable night.
And there's no explanation. There's no apology from any public officials. No one's held to account. In fact, the governor keeps saying that 𝐓𝐶 who runs the MBTA, is at $500 million, $500,000 a year salary, is doing a hell of a job. Listen, there's hardly a week goes by if there's not an MBTA crash or breakdown or whatever. In fact, it's safer to airplane flies in New York by plane than it is to take the MBTA.
Yeah. Well, I'll give 𝐓𝐶 credit for one thing. I mean, he did put together a plan, and it's going to take time. People have to be patient. Things that should have been done 20, 30 years ago. The question is, will the legislature fund that plan and stick with it? Because that's the problem. Every year something changes or new leadership comes in, and then this is the problem with Massachusetts. Just like the two bridges in Cape Cod, those things should have been taken care of 15, 20 years ago. There should have been a plan in place. You had Congress control of Congress. You had Ted Kennedy. You had John Kerry. Where was the foresight? Why didn't they stick to something? But let's move on, because she went to France, the governor. She should have just stayed in Massachusetts and called it Italy East, because here you got a garbage strike, okay, in close to 24 communities through Massachusetts because, every time I used to go to Italy, there'd be a strike in Naples. The garbage workers would be on strike and stuff. They'd call it a health scare and stuff. And then you also have the public defenders. People are being they're on strike. They're not, people in Lowell District Court in Cambridge, suspects for crimes.
Defendants.
They've been released
without representation
for the last 2 weeks because they don't have any representation.
Right.
And you wrote a great column on it and the disparity. I mean, you're the only one that I didn't even see it in any of the reporting. You put in the wages that nearby states pay their public defenders.
Right.
We're less than half of Rhode Island, which pays $112 an hour for public defenders. We pay $65.
They're on strike because they're not getting paid enough money. Meanwhile, the governor approved $5 million appropriation for lawyers for illegal immigrants, while American citizens are denied representation because these guys are on strike because they won't provide enough money for them.
Yeah, and these are the poor, the hungry, and the weary that the Democrats call their constituents, the indigent. Okay.
So now, while people are being let out of jail and defendants are being released because they lack representation, there is no accountability. No one around saying, "Hey, team back. Let's address this problem," because we're having potential criminals out on the street again who belong in court or behind bars. But there's no accountability.
Yeah, look, no urgency, sense of urgency. It's like, it's the truth. From Andrea Campbell to Governor Healey to the legislature, they want these people back out on the street. That's the only way you can.
I don't know if they want it, but they're getting it.
Come on, they're saying it right hand. You've got a crisis brewing. You know it's brewing. It's the Public Defender's Office, the Council of Public Council Services, whatever it's called. They wrote a letter to the legislature, the Judiciary Committee, and back in April, saying that this thing is coming to a head, and no urgency, no sense of urgency. No, let's talk to these people. Let's go. So everybody leaves. Now we're going on to our third week. These judges are, and I can't blame the judges because they have to follow the protocol. Now, I read a story of one or two judges where defendants accused of violent crimes, they were finding ways to put electric monitors on there. One judge actually appointed a lawyer who was sitting in the courtroom and said, "You can't do that." He said, "I'm not a public defender. You're going to defend this guy, and you can take me to court." She said, "But until this gets straightened out, you're the because I'm not releasing this guy." He was wanted for assault, and so she remanded him and set bail. He might be out now, but I gotta give that judge credit because I think she realized it was a public safety hazard, and that's what's going on. From the garbage strike to releasing, these defendants, crime suspects back into the communities. I mean, it's crazy.
Here's the headline: misplaced priorities.
Yeah,
that says it all. That says it all. Yeah. Misplaced priorities.
So you say, and they just passed the $61 billion budget, and they didn't take care of the public defenders who basically now we're seeing the system shutting down our court system, because of this. Now, just read in the column for the people to understand. I think you had, was Maine the highest or New Hampshire paid the highest of the?
Maine and New Hampshire both pay higher rates than for lawyers. Yeah,
and they were like $165 an hour. I mean, so do they put a higher value on justice and helping the people who can't defend themselves?
No, they just have more common sense.
Very good.
Our brains.
You know what? And hopefully they'll resolve the garbage strike. I mean, it's just, why do these things come to a head in the 21st century? We've been doing this forever in Massachusetts, and yet here we keep going. Do you believe me, Teddy? Teddy Panos, our producer in the corner there? I mean, what's going on, Teddy?
Insane. Crazy world.
Yeah, crazy world. Okay, so Peter, leaving Massachusetts for a second, because I'm sure we'll double back there. But you had an interesting note to me about a BBC interview you saw with
John Kerry.
John Kerry, former Secretary of State, U.S. Senator from Massachusetts. Why don't you tell us?
Well, John Kerry, you know, former climate czar under Joe Biden. In fact, I think he was Joe Biden's first appointment when Joe Biden got elected, and served with Joe Biden in the Senate for 24 years. And Kerry became chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee after Joe Biden became vice president. So they had a close relationship. So the interview was a real shocker in that John Kerry seemed to turn on his old good friend Joe Biden by praising Trump, which is almost unheard of. John Kerry praising Trump for the way Trump has handled immigration and the border. And he said in the interview that Trump was right by closing down the border, and by implication that Joe Biden was wrong. And what was interesting about it is that it got little play, but John Kerry seemed to join the pack of Democrats, former friends of Joe Biden, who turned on him, like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama, which came as a surprise because they were so close for so many years.
So for John Kerry to come out at this time and say that in a BBC interview, something's going on in the Democrat Party. They're realizing that this is not a winning issue for them, open borders, and yet these protests continue throughout the country. We saw what happened in California, where they raided a marijuana farm, and agents were basically attacked, people throwing rocks at them, and smoke bombs and everything else. It's not a winning issue, immigration, open borders for the Democrats.
No, and John Kerry seems to realize that. He's one of the few Democrats who does. The rest of them are going along with this mad policy of supporting violent, illegal immigrants and attacking ICE agents. It's ridiculous. It's not only ridiculous, it's dangerous.
No, John Kerry's a pretty smart guy. Why didn't he tell Joe Biden?
Well,
to shut the borders, or at least put in place a policy when he was serving for him.
That's what I mentioned. That's what I mentioned in my column tomorrow, that runs tomorrow. You know, he served so closely with Joe Biden all these years. You think he would have said, you know, Joe, Mr. President, you know, the border is open. All the while, Joe Biden is saying the border's secure and millions of people are crossing over it. You know, the border's secure, the border's secure. You think John Kerry would have said, no, I don't think so, Mr. President. It's open.
Yeah.
But maybe he did, or maybe Joe didn't listen, or maybe Joe forgot.
You think John Kerry ever missed a vacation?
Oh, no, John Kerry, I think his life was one vacation.
Yeah. Well, he's on Nantucket, right?
No. They moved to Martha's Vineyard to be close to Barack Obama.
Yeah. And, yeah.
They got the island cornered, one on each side, you know.
Yeah. Does he still own 𝐓𝐶𝐞 𝐁𝐨𝐬𝐭𝐸?
No,
He changed the name.
He's still got the boat. I don't know if it's called 𝐓𝐶𝐞 𝐁𝐨𝐬𝐭𝐸 anymore.
Yeah. And last I heard, he changed it because remember he had it registered in Delaware. I think he changed it because to skirt the tax issue and everything. But all right, John. Well, that's good that John's getting getting enlightened as he can reflect on what's transpiring in America right now. So that's pretty good. So, Peter, I want you to explain to me. I mean, there's been a lot of play over the Epstein files. He died in jail in 2019, but it seems like even the Republicans now are becoming split on this issue. Because, Jeffrey Epstein, he was convicted of sex trafficking, women, girls, underage girls and stuff, having these elaborate parties and orgies. His assistant went to jail. She's serving a long 20-year sentence, I believe, in federal jail. But now it comes out that that Epstein or supposedly had a file of a client
list.
Okay, and whether Attorney General Pam Bondi misspoke, there's evidently no client list now. So even if there's anything that the Democrats and some Republicans are forging a bipartisan relationship, it's over this handling of these Epstein files. And Trump is, Bondi said there are none. But anyway, explain this to me. Why is this so important? The guy died. He was convicted. His assistant was convicted.
Well, he died under mysterious circumstances. They said it was suicide, but people have questioned whether he died in prison or by suicide, or maybe assisted suicide. Who knows? But the problem is with the Trump administration is they promised so much during the campaign that they were going to release the Epstein files and a client list, and everybody commented on it. The president said he would release it. I mean, Trump said he would release it. J.D. Vance said they would release it, and Pam Bondi. And they built up expectations that there was going to be this list with the names of many political celebrities on it who got these free trips down to Pedo Island with Epstein and this flock of underage girls. That was the campaign promise. And they keep saying about how Trump has fulfilled all his campaign promises, except this one. And people are upset that they haven't released this so-called client list.
Yeah. I want to read you a quote from House Speaker Mike Johnson, who is as close to Trump and his agenda than anyone, okay? And he very rarely breaks from Trump. But this is a quote he said: "We should put everything out there and let the people decide," Johnson said in an interview on The Benny Show. He added, "This isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that, but I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there." Now, you know what? I tend to agree with Johnson and Republicans and Democrats who say, hey, release everything that we have on
But
it.
maybe there's nothing to release. Alan Dershowitz, the prominent attorney who was Epstein's attorney for many years, says there was no client list. And that was just a phrase made up by anti-Epstein critics and picked up by the political establishment and Trump and his campaign surrogates, and made a big issue out of it. And maybe there is no there.
Right. Well, my point to you is maybe that's true, because when Ghislaine Maxwell, I hope is that how
Giselle.
No, it's Ghislaine,
something like
Maxwell. That was Epstein's longtime scheduler and assistant. She had the task of rounding up the party participants, whether they were prominent people, celebs, and the women who would be girls who would be involved in these orgies and stuff. Well, when she was tried and convicted, it was never mentioned that there were the client list. Yes, there were clients who were some were, a lot of them were undisclosed. They did release the people who had gone on the plane trips,
but they didn't,
on his private.
They didn't call them clients.
Right.
They were friends.
They were friends. Yes. So they released names of people who flew on Epstein's private jet. Okay, but there was never any suggestion. Now, she cut a deal with the government, and you think the government would have said, hey, we want to know about a client list or who was on it. There was no talk ever. Now, unless the Department of Justice is in on this cover-up, if there is a list, I mean, you would think that they would want that list. So it goes to that maybe Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, because all this stems from she was quoted as saying that the client list was on her desk and ready for review. And then since then, she had to backtrack, say, no, it was only a file and there was nothing there. And this is what started this thing. And Joe Rogan, who endorsed President Trump, he's a podcaster, has over 10 million listeners.
You mean he has more listeners than we do?
Yes, he does.
Well, we got to fix that. We got to fix that.
But he's even come out and criticized Trump and the administration, saying, "Hey, just release everything, put everything out there." And now, do you think Pam Bondi misspoke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now she's paying the price for
They
it.
promise too much and they can't deliver. That's the basic problem.
Yeah.
You know, they hoisted by their own petard, as Shakespeare would say.
And I mean, I gotta love Trump for saying, "Hey, who cares? The whole Epstein case was boring."
Yeah.
That's his quote, boring. But you know what? If there is nothing there, release the nothing.
Release the nothing.
Okay, let's see everything, just like they did with the JFK files, the RFK files, the Martin Luther King files.
Yeah, but don't forget, you know, people are very suspicious of the government, even if Trump is president. We know nothing about the potential assassin who in Butler shot at the president. We know nothing about that kid.
Yeah, and that came out this week. We're still 8 Secret Service agents were suspended.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, well, including the site supervisor, who I guess
Was new in the job.
was new in the job and didn't.
But we know nothing about the shooter. Nothing about the shooter.
still don't.
Nothing his background. Nothing about his social devices on his phone, his computer. Nothing.
Yeah. So that was a big.
I'd rather they release that than the so-called Epstein file.
Okay, so this is a point where Democrats in the House and even in the Senate are building this little coalition with Republicans. They're even filing bills that who knows if they'll have any chance of passing to get the release of the files. All the files. So that'd be interesting to watch. But now there's another issue that's been embroiled both Democrats and Republicans, and especially hardline conservatives. You know, they wanted Trump to basically don't get involved in any more foreign entanglements, no more wars. And now this latest episode where Trump is going to give more weapons to Ukraine, including Patriot missiles. Steve Bannon, who was one of his top advisors one time, I mean, he says, why do we even care about Ukraine and what happens in Europe? This is the problem. They're going to draw us into this thing because Zelensky and his men are going to do something irrational, like even bomb Moscow, and then you're going to have the full-blown war. Trump gets around this by saying, yeah, we're selling the equipment, these weapons, to NATO. And they're paying for us. They're going to give them to Ukraine. So, you know, it's just but is Trump doing the right thing?
I think it's the right thing because this is more of a European problem than an American problem. And by giving the weapons to NATO and have the NATO countries disperse them to the Ukraine, it's a European solution to a European problem, with the Americans backing the Europeans. So it's one step removed from the United States, which I think is the way it should be. Because Putin has to be stopped. I mean, he's a brutal murderer is what he is, a war criminal, to say the least, killing all these innocent people. And were Putin to succeed, his next step could be Poland, or the country Latvia, Lithuania, up north.
Lithuania.
And so he has to be stopped. And this apparently is a solution acceptable to the Europeans.
What is going on though with Putin? He's escalating the war now. He's bombing huge civilian zones in Ukraine, where before he basically targeted strategic military facilities and stayed along the front. I mean, they are gaining ground little by little. The Soviet army is is gaining ground
I
all
think
over the place. They're outmanning.
this is a fight going into the late rounds, and he's looking for a late round knockout by escalating his attack on civilians, trying to break the morale of the Ukrainians. I think he's getting desperate because he hasn't won this war, and he's not going to win the war. And even if he wins, there's nothing to win.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get more grief than anything else.
But he stirred President Trump's wrath because Trump now has said, hey, this is going on too far.
Right. You may not want Trump as your friend, but you certainly don't want him as your enemy.
So that's something to that we're going to that's going to be developing. But Trump is basically giving him what 60 days or 50 days?
50 days to come up with, to agree to a meeting.
Yeah.
To talk about a ceasefire.
Yeah.
It's not even to end the war, it's to talk about ending the war.
And I saw a report that North Korea is supplying the Russian army with more and more ammunition. So,
And troops.
and troops. So it tells me that not everything is going right in Russia either.
Well, if
They
this,
can't keep up they're losing a lot of equipment in this war besides manpower.
and men, and if these sanctions go in, which Trump is threatening to put in place, it'll really damage the Russian economy.
Yeah. Well, I hope this is the end game because this is going on now for 3 years. A lot of innocent people on both sides being caught in this in the crossfire and these drone attacks. I tell you. You know, they're sending them on both sides deeper and deeper into civilian territory and pockets, and that does not bode well on both sides.
Just think what a different world it would be had Putin not invaded and instead, worked with the United States and with China to make the world a better place to live in. But maybe that's too naive.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to talk one last thing about Massachusetts. I mean, it came out this week that this report on Massachusetts nonprofits. There were two of them. They got no bid contracts to supply food to these people living in shelters, the hotels, the illegal immigrants. Now Governor Healey shutting down the 28 hotels that were housing these people. They're being dispersed into the communities and stuff. I mean, is this going to come back to bite her? I mean, and the Democrats. I mean, $900 million, and it's still going.
Illegal immigration is the biggest problem facing the state right now. And it's costing us over $1 billion a year, probably close to $3 billion a year to house and feed these illegal immigrants. And it's like an albatross around the governor's neck.
Yeah.
She can't shake this problem.
Yeah. I mean, the caterer in Revere was paid $19.99 per meal, and they received a lot of complaints about the food, maggots in it and stuff. And he got the bulk of the contract, $10 million and stuff. And then there was another one in Chicopee. I mean, they were hired as another family business. He only charged $9.99. No complaints about the food because the state, after all this hit the fan, went out there, surveyed the people, and the food, they said it was fine, no problem. And the guy even had to hire a Haitian cook because he did his homework. Most of the illegal immigrants or refugees were from Haitian descent, and so they cooked. And I'm saying $10 difference, but no bid contract, no groundwork. They just hired these people. Under emergency services contracts and stuff.
Look, the state was never prepared to take in these people.
Yeah, but you think they would have rectified it as it went along? I mean, these contracts were open-ended, Peter. I mean, is this the way to run government?
No, but that's the way it's run.
And then no one checked up on them until the complaints started coming in. Were these people being served? Where the meals go? I don't know. I think these are big campaign issues.
And some of these immigrants complained about the food. So we had to up the game and provide better food for the. Massachusetts residents, citizens of the state, would be lucky to get the benefits that an illegal immigrant gets in this state.
Well, that's coming to fruition on a lot of things. So, Peter, my big take this week, my big issue of the week. We talked over some nice things, but very disturbing. The national the NEA, the National Education Association. This is the largest teachers union in America, representing 3 million school teachers across the country. This past week, they held their annual convention out in Eugene, Oregon. And the leadership put through a proclamation, okay, where they have come out against. They took a platform to be anti-Trump, okay, and basically aligning themselves that that his administration is fascist, and they're going to be the anti-fascist organization.
Right.
So they put out this statement to the 7,000 voting members who attended this convention, and they overwhelmingly supported this proclamation. Now, in the proclamation that they put before the people to vote on, they misspelled fascist.
Well, these things happen.
So not only were they mocked, even by some members of their organization, because let's face it, there's 3 million school teachers. Most of them just want to teach the kids and stay out of politics, okay? But it comes down to these delegates and the progressive side of the leadership. They're all progressive. Barbara Pringle, who you should see her resume. I call it a rap sheet. I mean, she's the head of the NEA. And
what's this got to do with education?
Well, that's what they're saying.
Right,
What does this have to do?
okay.
But when you can't even spell fascism, they spelled it FACISM.
And they're teaching
which is wrong.
and they're teaching the kids.
Yeah, it's FASCISM. So they were ridiculed, mocked by conservative websites and things, but very little you didn't see from the liberal media about it. Of course, they wrote about the anti-fascism platform, which is targeted at the Trump administration, because the Trump administration, is looking into holding all education entities from colleges to K through 12 accountable. He's just not going to blindly fund all these programs that were considered anti-Semitic that get into the schoolrooms and other things. So they're upset. They're afraid that funding is going to be cut.
We don't have to go that far to find out examples of what's happening in education. We had a special commission in Massachusetts investigating anti-Semitism
Yes.
in K through 12 through Massachusetts. And they came out with a report last week, which hardly got any coverage, which is a shame, pointing out how anti-Semitism is rampant in the school system, public school system in Massachusetts. And they cite the Massachusetts Teachers Association, which practically is contributing through anti-Semitism practices in the public school system. And this Teachers Association is associated, of course, with the National Association.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's gotten out of hand. But the only problem I had with the commission report, which I've read several times because I find it fascinating, almost hard to believe what Jewish students are going through in the public school system in Massachusetts, is that the remedies that they come up with are sort of mild. I mean, there's no remedy that if some anti-Semite commits a violent act against a Jewish person in school, should be thrown out of school. I mean, there's nothing like that. There's no penalties.
But Peter, isn't it shocking that this was a report? This commission was a legislative commission.
Right.
There were lawmakers involved. I haven't seen any comments from Governor Healey
None.
or Lieutenant Governor Driscoll
None.
saying, this is shocking.
No.
This is unbelievable.
Right.
We have to take action. No one. It's like, okay, the report came out. Now, I forget the chairman of the commission.
Senator Vellis, John Vellis of
Yes,
Westwood.
seems like a decent guy and stuff. And he says, okay, now we got to have more meetings to decide what we're going to do with this, about this.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
a break.
Let me tell you something about special commissions. We got one that was appointed 5 years ago to come up with a new design for the quote discriminatory Massachusetts seal. Okay, that's 5 years ago. It still hasn't come up with a design to replace the seal. So give me a break with these special commissions. This is Massachusetts you're talking about.
Well, I tell you, it's amazing that report came out. I would have thought that all kinds of officials would have been looking at that, looking at it internally, then going back to their own school systems and saying, hey, what is the protocol? How do we deal with these situations? What are we going to do? Nothing. It just stopped right there. That's it. No more follow-up stories.
Here's a nutshell what's wrong with the school system. Yeah. A friend of mine picks up his daughter from middle school, and she got out of class one day, and he picked her up. He was telling me, he said, how was school today? And she said, oh, terrific. What did you learn? Well, Trump's a racist. She says, Trump's a racist? Who told you that? Oh, the teacher. Mm-hmm. I mean, there you go.
Yeah. Well, so I said there were two things with the NEA. Okay, so if that one doesn't open your eyes, but I can see if you're anti-Trump, you're probably happy with the NEA getting involved and putting everything out. Now this campaign means that anytime they put out a press release, they will have in a paragraph that they something about the Trump administration being fascist. That's what that means with the proclamation. So just think about it. Every time the NEA puts out a press release across the country with all the affiliated teachers unions that they have in the 50 states, there will be a sentence or a paragraph saying that they support activities that oppose Trump's anti-fascism administration. It's crazy. It's incredible. Well, so what else did the NEA do last week? Now, the NEA, one of the good things they did for decades, they were close partners with the Anti-Defamation League, okay, which is prominently supports and promotes education and anti-biases against Jewish people. But the Anti-Defamation League also involves itself with any discrimination practices against Asian students, Spanish students, even white students. It's just not, but it's prominently Jewish students, protecting Jewish students and people. Okay, well, the NEA has voted the leadership to break all ties with the ADL. In the past, the NEA has promoted educational tools for anti-bias programs that were instituted by the ADL, okay, that talked about these things, even bullying, okay, in schools. And the reason they came out for this was because they said the ADL now is anti-Palestinian. That was the reason. So now, what is going on with the leadership of the NEA, okay, that is now all of a sudden, they've been championing the causes ever since after the war, the World War II, with the Holocaust, and the NEA found it was important that kids in school knew about the Holocaust and what it meant and why it shouldn't occur. So they're breaking all ties. No longer will you see the NEA even talk or mention the Holocaust anymore, and anything to do with the attacks against the Jewish people, because they say now that the ADL has been since the slaughter by the Hamas the Jewish people attending the concerts. It was that October 7th, 2023.
2023.
I just can't believe it. I mean, these people are insane. All the good work that the NEA and the ADL did working together. You never got complaints about, Holocaust studies. Not that they dwell on it, but they have the kids to understand what happened during World War II, the rise of Nazi Germany and stuff. Peter, what's going on?
I don't know. They don't even know about the Vietnam War in school today. So, let alone World War II, or the Holocaust.
I mean, when you look at your classroom,
there's
teacher,
more information now at your fingertips. Tons and tons and tons of information at your fingertips, and kids are dumber and dumber. So they're not learning anything in school. It's a school. It's the teachers. It's a teachers union. That's what they got to take on, the teachers union, because they're running the thing like it's a wing of the Democrat Party. Which it is anyway.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
Well, it just goes to show you.
Why you kid around?
These teachers' unions are just getting more and more political. They take those. They take dues from their union members, and the sad thing is those union members don't even get a chance to vote on how their money is being spent, because it's the leadership that decides who's going to get that money. And that's why the candidates, they never give to conservative or Republican candidates. Very, 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 very rarely. They all go to the progressive left and more in tune with the left, where, let's face it, any organization, there are members in there who don't see it all the way as leadership. I mean, there's diversity. There's supposed to be diversity of opinion and voices. The NEA shuts that all out. They don't want to hear it from that wing of the membership or anybody who have a vision.
Sounds like the Democrat Party.
Yes, exactly. So, I don't know. Maybe more parents should scrutinize what's taking place in their classrooms. But this,
that's why the school choice is such an important issue.
Yeah, and the students who are being homeschooled are consistently rising, and here we have leadership in most states that are blue. Parents want more charter school choices. They want more charter schools, but they're capping the number of charter schools that can be in each state, just like in Massachusetts, because they're protecting the unions and the union membership.
Public education is just another target for the progressive left to take down.
Yeah,
like they've taken down all other established institutions that they don't like.
Yeah. So it's really disturbing that these tentacles are reaching all these groups that should be just out of politics and straight down the middle. Teach the kids and get them on the right track. Let them teach them to be critical thinkers.
Well,
instead of putting this stuff in their heads and brainwashing them.
Well, maybe you and I should be running things, Jim. We seem to make a lot of sense.
I don't know if that's a good idea, Peter, but I tell you, I always preach there's an editor. There are two sides to a story, and no story would be published from a reporter without getting a quote from the other side. I'm proud of that legacy. Even if we had to hold a story, and I got a lot of complaints from some of my assistant editors underneath me, Jim. We're going to be beaten on this story, and I said I'd rather have the facts and have them straight than put out a story there that tomorrow we have to correct it. So. But
those days are gone. Those days are gone. The business has changed, not for the better.
So, Peter, as we come to a close with another great show, what are you working on this week? Now, we should probably look forward to your column tomorrow.
Tomorrow, John Kerry is a column, and following that, there'll be a column on what we've been talking about, the teachers' union and the commission report on anti-Semitism. And after that, that's a T That's a golf ball. That's where I'm going.
Wow.
And I'm going to hit it 200 yards.
200? Beautiful. Oh, from the Golds?
It's a magic ball.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love that hat, that Firenze hat. That's beautiful.
It's a hat from Florence, made in China. So what the hell?
Yeah. If I knew he was going to wear that hat, I would have worn my Bellagio hat. You know, nice
That's
blue
made
hat.
in China too, bro.
It would have been the Italian show. But yeah. So next week we're going to take the week off because I am packing and getting ready. I'm flying out to Indianapolis. I'm going to see Caitlin Clark play basketball. Hopefully she'll be able to play. She played last night at Boston Garden, but she re-injured herself. But even if she doesn't play, it's always a great take out there at the Gainsborough Arena. There'll be 19,000 fans. I'm going to be staying by the lake at my sister's house and in Cicero, Indiana. I'm going to play golf a couple of times. And just enjoy the Midwest hospitality.
Good for you.
You know,
Good for
and
you.
the Italians have a saying, piano, piano, easy, easy. Well, you know what? That's why I started my career in the Midwest, and I never forgot that. The people, a little more laid back than we are here. Life isn't as fast as it is here, and they have great catfish. So I'm going to take off to Indiana.
Terrific.
And enjoy my Hoosier stay with my sister and my nieces and my brother-in-law.
Sounds great. Sounds
Okay?
Great.
So, Peter, until our next show, which will be in 2 weeks, which we'll have a lot to talk about, I say read Peter Lucas's column in the Boston Herald. It appears 3 times a week.
And don't bring me any catfish.
I won't bring you any catfish. Okay. Have a great week, everyone.